Hi, everybody. It's Coast the Host. This is me a quick episode. I'm Jacob. This is Luca.
What up?
Yeah, we're gonna do a quick episode because he has to go to bed. We're just gonna do a quick year recap. What we're gonna do it is one of us can be pro and one of us can be against any topics that happened in the last year since we had our last podcast. I forgot to hit record, so we'll do a quick recap of the conversation we just had. The first thing we did was NFTs and the rise and fall of them. I talked about how I lost not a lot, but I lost like 20 bucks.
Ton of money.
I lost like a couple bucks. I also Luca wanted to explain the difference between Ethereum and NFTs because I actually had money in Ethereum, not specifically any NFT. Do you want to do that again, or do you want to just do you
You
think most
also,
people know?
I mean, we should probably recap the part where you said you put your entire life savings on the Lena Rhodes NFT and it got rug pulled and now you're homeless.
Yeah, but that's okay.
We
This is just
moved.
a this is just a green screen. And by a green screen, I mean I'm next to a 7-Eleven. So this isn't actually my room anymore. This is just an old set. Um, so that was great. Uh, yeah, NFTs. Well, real quick, you would actually know a lot better than this than I would. I knew that like it's pretty much done for a lot of them. What happened with that one guy? There was like one specific dude that like apparently was a huge scam for NFTs. What was that all about?
Like Sam Bankman-Fried,
Hmm.
like FTX.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know the details, but essentially he was like using people's money in a way that like you put in your money like to buy crypto. He's using your money similar to what a bank does, but
Hmm.
he's leveraging it like more than he should be legally allowed to. He's pretty much like using money that isn't his times 10 because he's using it on margin. So he's like borrowing against that money that he's not supposed to borrow against. So like at a certain point, like you get to the end of this Ponzi scheme and like people are looking for their money, but it doesn't exist because he's been literally leveraging against it 20 times over. So when people realized that, then his goose was cooked and he fucking fled to Costa Rica, but now he's arrested. Tom Brady lost a bunch of money. Fucking Kevin O'Leary lost a bunch of money. I mean, everybody lost a bunch of money.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I fucking hate Kevin O'Leary. Like, I'm sure he's a decent guy, but I always hate those dudes that do the whole like off topic. They're just like, I work harder than anyone known to God, and because of that, I make $5 billion a year. And it's like, I don't,
Those
I don't care. It's the Gary V dude. I hope Gary V gets kicked in the fucking nuts tonight. Anyways, going back to NFTs, that was crazy. Because I mean, prior to that, NFTs and crypto and all that, like it was so interesting to see who like really because I put 50 bucks in Ethereum just because I was like, worst comes to worst, I make a bit of money. Worst, I lose 50 bucks because my whole family did it. And I didn't want to have to hear my family during Thanksgiving next year being like, you should have done it. So I put some, nothing ever came up of it. Not a big deal. But like there was celebrities that like they like started doing shit with it. You know what I mean? Like they were like hopping on the bandwagon. I get why, right? Because you never know, like, oh, this is the next thing, right?
yeah.
But it sucks because then like once this happens, you just look like a fucking idiot. So a lot of them just look fucking stupid as shit.
I mean, yeah, there's like, well, kind of, but because
Mm,
most of them are like involved in these projects, like not really, they're not really running it. They're just like they're paid by like the real NFT creators to just put their face on it, and then they made off of millions of dollars. And then everybody who's buying it are the ones who got fucked, but like they still made the millions off the like initial sale of the NFT.
yeah.
So like some people fucked like Brady because he was like an investor in the fucking platform, but most of these fake creators like Logan Paul or whatever, like they still made a bag off these fucking rug pulls.
Yeah. Apparently Logan Paul has something with CoffeeZilla right now. There's some weird feud between the two of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
CoffeeZilla exposed like a bunch of those. I don't even
Yeah.
want to. I ain't watching all that. I ain't watching a 20-minute video.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
on yeah.
yeah, CoffeeZilla is hilarious. It's hilarious that there's just someone that's like a boogeyman. He's like the boogeyman of like jackasses. Like it's fun.
Special.
Okay, next thing. This is some old shit. Will Smith getting slapped or Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Uh
What were you in real life? I feel like you were yeah, what were you?
oh in real life, he shouldn't have slapped him. That's fucked up.
But you were saying some shit how they shouldn't have banned him or something. They shouldn't have kicked. They shouldn't have not given him an Oscar or something, or they shouldn't have banned him or something like that.
No, it wasn't. It was something different.
Maybe you're just.
They should have left him. Like they should have not left. They should have escorted him out. After he slapped him, they should have been like,
No, I swear to God, we had an argument where you were saying
it
they shouldn't have, and
was
I was like, "What do you mean he
no.
fucking slapped someone in a fucking?"
I think it was about like taking away the Oscar afterwards. It's like,
Yes, it was that. It was that. It was that.
yeah, it's like he if he won it, he who gives a shit? Like I don't know. He won it. He won it. You know what I mean? It's like
No,
I'm an MMA fan. Like if you win like the belt, like if you win like a belt, you can have it taken away from you like in terms of like continuing to be the champion, right? But they don't retroactively take away that like John Jones has had his belt taken away twice, right? But
yeah.
on his record, it still says champion John Jones. It doesn't go like we're taking it all back, John. Fuck you. Like it isn't retroactively just have it all be like regular fights, right? They're still championship
Yeah,
fights.
I don't
So
know. I
he
don't
won.
know. Like I think UFC is a little different because there's like the current champion
Mm-hmm.
versus the Oscars is just like a cumulative thing.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say it was a UFC, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the reigning champion
Mm-hmm.
literally like said some horrific hate or did some horrific hate crime. You don't
Mm-hmm.
think UFC would be right to take the belt away?
No, they do take away the belt. They take away the belt. I think the difference, the difference is first off, you have like they take away like your status as champion, right? But you still have your belt at home, and you still have the accolade of being a champion. So that doesn't leave, right? And I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like this is a weird example, but like if like at NYU, one of us got like some crazy award, like we got valedictorian or something like that, right? And then like a
Yeah.
month later, we killed somebody. Like, I don't think that they should take it back. I think they should be like, look, he did really well in college. It wasn't an award.
Uh,
If he, look, I'll give you this. If his award was like being a peaceful person, and then he slapped Chris Rock, then I'd be like, oh, sure. The accolade was for acting. It wasn't for a person not being violent. You know,
I
like,
mean, I think there's something to be said about like not wanting the name. Like, all right, I think there's heinous enough acts that you wouldn't want the name associated with the organization and the academy, right? So, like, I think there's some things like Will Smith could have done
mhm.
that you would probably agree that they should take his name off if he was like a serial killer. I don't know. I think you should just. It's like you should. I don't think a serial killer
Mhm.
should be in the NFL Hall of Fame, for example.
I
Like
think I was gonna say I think OJ still has his Heisman awards, right?
he's not a serial killer though. He wasn't even convicted. He
He
wasn't convicted.
he was. He lost the civil case.
Civil. That's so different.
Oh, okay.
But
I mean,
I,
we know he killed those fucking people. You know
like
what I
Ray,
mean?
like okay, like Ray Rice might have been a Hall of Famer. He's never going to be now. You know what I
That's
mean?
fair. But what's tough
What
is
I'm saying
like,
is like there is a level that you would
for
agree with
sure.
that's bad enough to like exclude them. It's just a matter of like, is the slap bad enough to be that? Like I think probably because it's
What
so up.
I will pose a couple things. First thing, like I would agree. What's tough is he did it during the ceremony, and that's what makes it annoying. Like if Ray Rice was inducted into the Hall of Fame and then he did what he did, I feel like they would just keep him in there, right?
If he
Also,
did it in the fucking award show of the
oh
Hall of Fame ceremony, no, they
yeah,
wouldn't give it to him. If he hit
that's.
a woman at the fucking award show, yeah, no.
I mean, oh yeah, woman especially. I agree. Like they probably wouldn't, but like
It's already meeting ends in 10 minutes,
I'm
so
gonna, I'm gonna, I'm fixing that right now. So don't
all
worry.
right.
Don't worry. Uh, I don't. I mean, well, I was gonna say there's that, and then it's tough because like the Academy Awards are they're literally fucking terrible. Like, do you remember Roman Polanski? Do you know who that is?
See, that's another thing you posted on your story. What's your beef with the Yeah, I know Roman Polanski,
Hmm.
but what's your
Hmm.
beef with the award show?
Oh, I just think they're fucking stupid. Like, I think it's just like a waste of everyone's fucking time. Like, the best movie never actually wins. It's just
How,
like, what? How so?
what
I
are
mean,
we
I mean,
like?
it's obviously everything's up to opinion. Obviously, I don't want to like be a jerk and be like, oh, it's up for it's up for opinion and stuff like that. So fuck me. So I'm doing this
You
real
gotta
quick.
go through the list, motherfucker.
Whatever.
You gotta go through the list, motherfucker.
What do you
Bet
mean?
you- I bet you there's gonna be some bangers on here.
Of like the winners? Go
Yes.
ahead, dude. I mean, most of them are pretty trash. I mean, again, it's just it's up for like what's the
Wait,
word?
who's work? Are these just nominees? What
I
the
mean,
hell?
this year they're fucking stupid. I guess just in general, I just don't think that they're like particularly like I don't think they're good. I think they're shitty. They're just boring too. I mean, do you watch the Academy Awards?
I mean, I'm not gonna go out of my way to watch it, but
Uh,
some, I guess. Like, what's wrong? I don't know. I feel like it's an award show. Like, you give it to the people. It means something, though.
I don't think so, bro. I think like it's all for publicity, especially like the Golden Globes and shit. The Golden Globes is like all of it, it's just like politics and shit. Like once you like realize that all of them, a lot of people talk about it that like
Always politics. So, like, okay, Parasite. You thought that was not Oscar worthy?
I'm not
Like,
saying
what?
I'm not saying all of them are not Oscar worthy. That's not like what I'm saying at all, right? Like I do think obviously certain things are definitely Oscar worthy. So like certain movies are for sure like Oscar worthy. Um, but a lot of them, I mean, they've admitted it. They've admitted that a lot of them are just politics. Or a lot like for example, this is kind of crazy. But
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
Get Out got nominated for 1 year, right?
Yeah.
You know I'm a big fan of Get Out.
Yes.
And people like there was voters who admitted that they didn't vote for it because the main actor in it was annoying to them. Like in real life. In real life, they were like, yeah, he kept shitting on America and American politics despite being British. So they like retroactively were like, fuck this guy, we're not gonna vote for him.
Isn't the Academy secret?
What happened?
I thought the voters were secret.
Oh no, dude, everyone knows him. Like they're like very a lot of NYU professors were Jesus Christ. A lot of NYU professors are Academy members. Like openly too.
Oh yeah. So it's like a ton of votes. That works.
It's a good amount.
So when what like what are we talking a good amount?
It's a couple of hundred, like 250.
Oh, that's very little. I guess you can really buy that, huh?
For sure. And there's only like a couple like they're the ones who nominate what movies are going to go up that year, the whole shebang. So it's like super biased.
Yeah, but like, is the alternative to you just no award show or like a less biased one?
Like no, like just no award show. It's just like movie. Like I love movies. I'm a big movie fan. I don't give a fuck about movies enough to do this dumb shit. Like well, you know what bugs me too? Like the amount of boost you get from it. Like it fucking sucks. Like there's some places like there's some like fucking films like that. They get such a crazy boost from getting nominated for Oscars. So it just like it's kind of like unfair after a while, you know?
I guess I don't know. I like the idea of having some sort of competition system that's like,
For
oh,
film though?
like you did something great, you should be like, there should be like a prize for it besides box office numbers.
But like I feel like it shouldn't have
Well, don't you think that's unfair? Like, don't you think like just pure blockbuster numbers like don't award the more like like niche shit versus like the
sure. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the difference is like to have a competition like I like sports. I'm a very competitive person, you know? Like I think sports are fucking great. I think having competition is an awesome thing. But
Right.
art I don't think needs to like necessarily be uh a competitive thing at all. Like I think art is fine not being competitive. Like why just give if we're gonna do accolades, why just give it to one film or like one performance? Why not just do it to multiple then if we're gonna do accolades, you know?
That's what nominations are.
But it's not, right? Because there's always a winner, right? And then obviously not everyone's gonna agree with the winner.
How does it help there being multiple? Like you nominate, so you know those are the really good ones, and you pick one that's the best, but they still all got the
Because
nod.
there's still a what's it called? There's still a limit, right? Like it's bizarre that we have to limit it every year to I think there's eight nominate nominees, right? There's literally like dozens of movies that come out every year, like very large movies that everyone watches. So and then there's even some that not everyone will watch, right? They're not as big, and I feel like those ones still deserve a lot of praise, even if it's not a fucking Academy Award, you know?
So those movies, like that are small. Let's say like a movie that's more like, I don't know, artistic.
Mhm.
The only feedback you think it should get is like critic reviews because
Uh,
it's not gonna compete in the box office or
what,
something.
what if the Academy every year, like there's a certain film, and after a certain amount of Academy members watch it, go, well, this is worthy of praise, and there's like a stamp of approval. It goes, this one is a fucking good one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's fine. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of movies where I've watched them. Like, dude, if you like, have you ever seen The English Patient?
No.
Why not? It's an Academy. They won Best Picture in 1998. Why didn't you ever watch it? You watch Crash? Why not?
No.
It
I've
beat up
seen
Brokeback Mountain. Huh?
I've seen Crash.
You seen Crash? I didn't think most people haven't seen Crash. Good job for that. Like I could, there's a bunch of them. Like, have you seen like fucking Shakespeare in Love? Like I could list all of them, and I bet you a lot of them you haven't seen, and they lost out or they beat much better films. Like, and then also, why does one have to be better than the other, right? Like, not we're not always going to agree. Forrest Gump, Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, and The Lion King came out the same, I think, the same month, right? Any of those four movies, you could be like those. Like, if you want to say Shawshank Redemption is better than Pulp Fiction or Lion, like any of those four are good. We don't
Yeah,
have
but
to
it's
be a
just like,
winner.
oh, I mean, it's just like the nature of competition. You think like art should never have competition?
No, not art. I'm not saying that. I just, in general, I don't think film's the place to do it. I don't think it makes much
Oh,
sense.
music. Same.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I am a movie person. And as a person that's in movie like does movie shit, I don't see a point in it personally. I think it's cool to praise things. I think praising things is cool. I think that's helpful. I mean, for books, for example, you get right. There's like the New York Times thing, right? Like
Oh,
that's
so
fine.
wait, real quick. Do you think any movies could be nominated without politics?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well then there's a point to boost.
To boost, what are you talking about? To boost?
You said the Oscars are a boost, right? Like if you get nominated for an Oscar, like that's a big fucking nod for your movie.
Yeah,
So
but again, it's mostly politics, right? Like Uncut Gems, I think was genuinely a phenomenal film that got no praise at all, and it's because Adam Sandler was in it. And they didn't want to be stuck with the Adam Sandler movie, but they'll fucking nominate like Top Gun Maverick. You think Top Gun Maverick really deserved an Oscar nomination over Uncut Gems? It's ridiculous.
well, it wasn't the same year, but it was good.
But you see what I'm saying, right? Like, but
I liked it.
I think that there's a difference between movies and like films, and I feel like the Academy Awards is supposed to be for films.
What?
Right? So, for example, like there's some movies you watch that are not as entertaining, but they're very important, right? Like, have you seen American History X?
Hell no.
Have you seen Schindler's List?
Hell no.
You haven't seen Schindler's List?
No,
Dude,
I
you suck.
right?
Okay, what's like you're aware of Schindler's List.
Yes.
It's not like a enjoyable, let's eat some popcorn, fucking run Schindler's List movie. It's a really intense, depressing movie, right? It's a film. It's meant to evoke emotion and meant to like be a powerful message about like bigotry and stuff, right? But then like what's it like Avatar? Avatar is a fun movie, right? That you could take a piss during Avatar, you could fucking be on your phone during Avatar, you could do whatever during Avatar, right? Like it's a movie, right? It's a different
This is
thing.
the same fucking logic that people use to say Drake doesn't deserve praise. Like,
I'm not saying Avatar doesn't deserve praise. I'm not saying that.
yeah,
And,
but
again,
I don't think Drake deserves Grammys because he's not fucking
dude, what I'm saying is I think the whole system's stupid. So I'm not even saying that. Like that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the system is dumb. But if the Academy Awards is meant to praise art, like if anything, if there's any good part of it, it would be praising art house films that aren't going to get the attention that large blockbusters are going to get. That's the one hope you'd get from it. But it doesn't even accomplish that. That's what I'm saying,
Yeah, but
right?
okay, do you disagree with the other award shows then? Like whatever, Sundance, Cannes, or whatever?
Those aren't award shows. Those are film festivals, and those are meant to promote small films. And the winners of those actually get a box office run. That's important. That's helpful, right? You
Right,
see,
but
that's great.
are there no winners at Sundance? It's just I
I
think
think
there
that
are.
there are some winners, but there's still like the point of film festivals is it's not just we're gonna pick one, fuck everybody else. They actually help multiple films in those.
Yeah,
Multiple films
the
at
ones
Sundance get picked up.
nominated, the ones that get picked, like it's still a competition. If you say
It's
a film festival is not a
it's not a
competition,
competition the same
it
way.
is. It is.
Luca, no, it's not. because the Sundance Film Festival, it isn't meant like I'm gonna out fucking act this other person. The point of the Sundance Film Festival is that you're hoping your films get picked up. I like so for me, I'm making
Yeah,
a short film 2 months from now. I'm gonna make it. I'm hoping it goes well. When I'm done with it, I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna submit it to a bunch of uh film festivals, and I hope it gets picked up. My hope is that at some point one of those film festivals, someone will watch it. It'll either get picked up or someone will see it and go, "This director slash writer did a really good job. I would like
yeah.
to work with them." That's the point. My brain isn't like, "Oh, I need to talk to this person, get in their ear, hope that they vote for my fucking movie." That's the Academy Awards. It's fucking
Oh,
stupid.
okay. Two things. You could do that for those independent film festivals,
No, you
probably.
can't. No, you can't. No, you can't.
You're telling me there is no politics involved at all in what movies go to Sundance?
No, not Sundance. Not
Why
Sundance.
not? Why could you say that?
So
I'm
you
so
you actually it's all like submitted just like
I know, but there's humans picking them, just like the Academy Awards.
no, it's not like the Academy Awards. The Academy Awards, you actually know who they are and they all know each other. Everyone knows
You
each
know,
other.
like
I
I'm
fucking
sure
like
you
sir.
could find out who's picking for Sundance. If you're in the industry,
No,
if
man.
you're Ari Gold, you can figure that out. You know you
No.
can. You can.
It's not, dude, it's not the same thing. Like I'm like I'm not trying to argue. Like I'm
No,
like
but
being I'm
all
being
I'm
dead
saying is like
serious with you. It's not the
all I'm
same
saying,
thing.
yeah, I agree. I agree it's not the same thing,
Like at
but
all.
I agree with that. But all I'm saying it's a submission process where some movies get selected, some get rejected. That's like the definition of a competition.
Dude, but it's well, it's a
It
competition
is.
of it's a very different. I'll admit it's
No.
competitive, but it's very different. Well, the
The only
difference,
reason it's different is
Luca.
because they're smaller
Oh
movies.
my
So like
god,
it's a
it's
smaller movie. So the boost
Mhm.
is like it'll get picked up or not versus like it'll get a
It-
huge
it's
boost.
here's what's the difference is you do music. I don't know how well this analogy is gonna work. I'm hoping it works pretty well, right? When you do shit, like, are you gonna go for like a Grammy? No, right? But like, if you do like a performance, like in some place, like if you feature in some place as a musician, and there's six other musicians there, your hope is that like someone's gonna see you perform and go, "Oh shit, this kid's pretty good. Let me get in contact with his producer." Hypothetically, sure, you could try to find that fucking guy and be like, "Hey, pick me over these six other performers." But you're not gonna. That's not how shit works. Like that's a
No,
crazy way of looking at it.
all right, let's use that example. Let's use
Uh
that
huh.
example.
Yeah.
So I'm not, of course, I'm not saying like the grant. What you're describing is like a showcase, right? Like
Right. Right.
that's
It's a showcase.
that would be the film festival equivalent for music. I'm
Yeah.
obviously not saying that the Grammys are the same as a showcase, but I'm saying they're both a competition. And if you're and getting into a showcase is something you could network your way into. Like you know somebody who knows somebody on the selection committee for a showcase. That's something that if they know you a little better, they could like be swayed into putting you on.
You get what I'm saying? There's a huge difference between a showcase and the Grammys. That's the point I'm
I
trying
don't
to make.
think they're both. There's a difference in the mechanics, but I think they're
Mhm.
both competitions. So art,
I think very
I'm saying
different.
art. I'm saying art is often competitive. That's all I'm saying. Not that it can't. Not.
Well, it's
I'm not.
competitive because we live like in a well because people it's competitive in that like people want to listen and see good shit, right? So obviously you want your shit to be good so people could watch it, right? But it's not competitive the same way like I'm when I'm making my things, I'm not thinking like I have to be better than this other fucking guy. My thing is like I want my shit to be good. I want my shit to be good so I get work and so I can like do well and like do well in my like industry, right? It's competitive in that way, but it's not
Yeah.
competitive the same way. Like it's the difference of the type of competition between a Grammys and a showcase, right? And
Like,
that's the same thing between a film festival and the Oscars.
if you tell me like that art isn't competitive, like if that's your thing, like if that's what you're trying to say, I think it's like maybe your motives could be so like artistic that it's just about what you want, but like inherently, like all art is competing for people's attention because it's everybody putting out their art and figuring out who's going to look at it. So like I don't think you could ever separate it from a competition. Like you're ultimately trying to make for the reasons you just said to get more work, you're trying to make things that are better than other things.
I will say this too. I'm gonna be honest, and this is a different thing. Like obviously we live like in America, and America is very capitalist, right? Like I think inherently art doesn't have to be competitive if you're not like in a capitalist system.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, I'm a capitalist, so this isn't a weird commie thing. I'm a capitalist, but I'm a big MMA fan. If I did MMA, I wouldn't be like this should just be for the love of MMA. I want there to be a winner. I want to see who's the best MMA fighter, right? That because it's a sport. When I do sports, if I'm not the best, that's okay. I want to see who the best is, right? That's the point of sport, right?
Yeah.
I don't think art has to be sport. Can it be that way? Sure. I think it could be fun sometimes. I think when 50 Cent and Kanye West in the early 2000s had like a rap off, that was fun. Or like when like rappers go at each other and like that shit's fun, right? Of course, like art can be competitive, but I'm just saying like the way the Oscars does it is just so fucking stupid and it makes me like annoyed. But like at least with the showcase, at least with like film festivals, it's not just big movies getting their dick sucked. It's little guys being able to really have a platform, be able to show their things and get a boost. I think that's way more helpful. And it's not just one fucking person
I mean,
winning. It's
two, I guess like two things there. Like
yeah.
one, yeah, I don't think it has to be competitive, but I think like if it's not capitalist, yeah, I agree. It doesn't have to be competitive, but it is capitalist, so
Mm,
it does have to be competitive. One, and then two, like yeah, the Oscars suck off the big movies, but aren't there a good amount of categories that do like best independent film, best short film? Like those are kind of getting at the little guy a little bit.
not really, if we're being honest. It's
Yeah.
a different thing. It's a bit different. I actually know people who've actually like been nominated for shorts and stuff like that. It's a bit different. But uh I know there's a lot of people who like win and like nothing happens versus like the film festivals will actually give you a boost. Like genuinely like film festival because people there for film festivals are actually looking for collaborators. They're looking for artists to work with. So it literally is a different audience you're going towards.
I don't know. You're telling me like being an Oscar winner, putting that on the resume of your movie does less than having your movie
I
selected for.
I oh, I'm not even kidding. If you told me either my film would do really well at the Cannes Film Festival or it won an Academy Award like a short, I'd rather have it do well at Cannes because like I would for sure get work after that, like 100%.
You would not 100% get work if you won an Oscar.
There's frequent cases where even actors have won Best Actor and done nothing the rest of their career. The guy from The
Yeah,
Artist won Best Actor and nothing ever happened with him.
there's a ton of the best actors at Cannes who get no work too, though.
I don't think there is Best Actors at Cannes Film Festival.
I'm saying like the actors that were the best, not like
Oh,
the
like
one.
in the best films.
Yeah, like well, no, or like just actors who had amazing performances in Sundance movies, for
Hmm.
example. There's a ton of those who literally are nobodies.
Sure. I
Probably
guess.
more of them than in the Oscars, honestly.
Well, yeah. Well, to be fair, like it's a
Yeah, of
different
course.
thing. It's different, right? But I guess what I'm saying is like in terms of like if you want like a boost in the industry, the boost I'd rather have a boost at the Cannes Film Festival than the Oscars.
There's just
Me, mhm.
I mean, you've probably seen more anecdotal evidence than I have, but there's just no like way to. I don't have any numbers on that, unless you do.
Yeah, all my stuff's anecdotal, but like anecdotally, I've seen it consistently. Where like I know people who've like Deborah has worked in movies, but they're like Academy nominated, and like they don't go anywhere, and then like those people still don't have jobs, and then like by contrast, I know like professors, and I knew like a lot of people who had like some shitty like some like schlocky like film script and like they crush it with it and they get a bunch of work afterwards doing random shit. So it's anyways. You know what's funny? This is our first topic. We still have to get to the second one. Oh, we didn't even talk about it. Will Smith. I don't know. He shouldn't have smacked Chris Rock. I know we both agree on that.
I feel like we're kind of past this topic at this point.
I know, but he shouldn't have done it. That was fucked. I seen people online that were like, "Yeah," and it's like anyone who said yeah to him doing that has never been in a fight before. If you've been in a fight, you know how terrible that is. That's like
What,
it's you're not supposed to do shit like that.
like sucker punching?
Yeah, or just like I think there's a lot of people who think like, oh, fights aren't a big deal, and then you get punched. You realize it fucking hurts. Some people have never been
It was
punched,
a slap.
huh?
It was a slap.
It still hurts, and it's obviously incredibly humiliating. Like that's humiliating. I felt terrible for Chris Rock. Because I mean, you know what's so stupid though? Joe Rogan talked about. It. Joe Rogan was like, if he knew Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, he'd be able to fucking. He wouldn't have allowed him to do that. It's like he would have. It wouldn't have changed anything. First off, Jiu Jitsu is not a striking based martial art. Also, like he's gonna get him in a fucking like rear naked choke in front of everybody. Like, what is he gonna do with his jujitsu? Ridiculous. What a fucking goon.
Is it the role of like media companies to decide what content people should get, or should they just allow everything on their platform? Obviously, not everything.
Well, it's tough because they're companies, right? I'm 100% agree. Like in regular day public speech, people should be able to say whatever they want, right? 100%. For the companies, like if I was owning YouTube, like obviously you can't have like decapitation on YouTube. Like if that's there, I would want to get that taken off of.
Yeah.
It's their companies. Like it's up to them. I mean, Elon put a lot of them back on Twitter. That's his thing. That's fine. Like it's a company. I'm pro companies doing whatever you want, right? Do I think governments should give you you could I think government should protect on free speech no matter what. I think if you want to be a Nazi and if you have a Nazi following,
Yeah.
that's fine.
But are you not worried about how close, like obviously like the rules of the Constitution, rules of everything have to
Mhm.
adapt to like what's going on now? Like, are you not worried about how close these media companies are in terms of viewpoint and how little options there are?
I would hope that there would be more options for. I mean, obviously there is. There's Rumble. There are other conservative based media outlets out there. I think if it ever became that bad, I'm not against YouTube becoming a public utility. I'm not against any of those places become public utilities. So then there's if it's government ran, you have to put on whatever you want there. That's fine. Um, I like again like in that way like I don't personally mind.
Did
That's
you see the
fine.
Project Veritas shit where the Pfizer guy went on a grinder date and he like spilled a bunch of fucking Pfizer secrets?
No, I've seen a couple Project Veritas videos. I mean, I've seen the
You
Van
didn't see that
Jones
one?
one. No, I haven't seen that one yet.
You know why you didn't see it?
Oh, why?
'Cause it's literally after it got posted, it got wiped from everything. And I think that's kind of crazy. Like that a company
Mhm.
like Pfizer can just say like this video, which I mean, for all like nobody's proven it wrong yet, can just
Yeah.
be wiped from the internet. How is that not super dangerous?
Hmm. Like trust, like could they put on their own website at least? Project Veritas.
Well, that's the thing. Google it's all SEO. It's all paid
Mhm.
by like the fucking biggest contributors to the advertising. If
100%. Yeah.
Pfizer goes up to them, and they did this to LinkedIn, they did this to everything that had mentioned this guy, and they're like, wipe this clean off the internet, it gets
Mhm.
wiped clean.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna like. Of course, like that's crazy. Um. Again, like it's tough because they're private companies. That's what makes it tough for me personally. Like, I think that there should be. I don't know how it would be done. Because on one hand, like people should be able to say whatever you want. I don't think that you should be able to be completely muted. I think that's bad. But
Yeah.
also, I don't think that we should be able to force companies like we you have to put whatever because then it's like well then they have no control over it, right? If YouTube wants to be like a more community family, like semi family based like website, like you can't do that. If I could put like naked people, right? If I put like people fucking on YouTube, right, and
Yeah.
YouTube can't stop me, like you know what I mean? Like so I think it
You should just
really
stop at illegal content, but is there anything other than illegal content that you think should be barred?
like if I'm straight up like a Nazi, like if I'm straight up a Nazi, I don't. If and YouTube's like we don't want straight up Nazis on here, I don't disagree with them saying we would prefer not to have Nazis. Like if hypothetically tomorrow YouTube was bought by Ben Shapiro and he's like we're not having any more libtard shit, I would 100% be like no, that's how the cookie crumbles.
I
I
understand
really would like I'm
reasoning, but I think like it doesn't fit. It leaves us too open to this like yeah, like okay, the government doesn't run us, but this fucking oligopoly of like-minded media companies does or do. So
yeah. What I'm hoping for, I mean, so only time could tell. There are more conservative base things for conservative people that they seem to be going towards. Again, I'm not on any of those things, but that's fine. I'm pro freedom of speech. My only thing would be like hypothetically, I know that like YouTube kind of has the whole like video based market right now. I would hope that there'd be another company that could come along, and then if you're conservative or you're whatever, and you want to post whatever on there, that it exists without it like YouTube owning the rights to even the trade. You know what I mean? Like owning the rights to any video based sharing company. Um, I agree with that, or maybe like another search engine that would exist where you could look up literally anything. I would
I mean,
hope capitalism could remedy it. Hmm?
those exist. It's just like they get like it's an oligopoly. Like there's DuckDuckGo or whatever. It's just
Hmm.
like so much smaller that it doesn't really make a difference. There's Bing. There's like a ton of search engines.
Okay. Could you just use DuckDuckGo then?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, so what's the issue? I don't know. The issue is
The
then.
issue is the societal impact. Like how many people use DuckDuckGo? I think there's some market
But like,
failures in capitalism where like oligopolies happen.
but I would say like 90% of the population like doesn't like I would like most like a mom like in like Kansas, she has no problem going on Google. Like she's not gonna go on DuckDuckGo to hear about Andrew Tate talking about how bitches like aren't worth like a Bugatti, right? Like she doesn't care. Like she's like, oh, I want to go on Google and look up how to make a casserole, right? Like most Americans, like I didn't miss Tate when he was gone from YouTube, and like some people will.
Yeah.
Like I think you should have the ability to find that 100%. You should never not have the ability to find shit, right? Like I agree
You
with that.
don't, right? Well, right now you don't. Like if Google
Hmm.
has what is really right now probably like over 80% of the market share on internet searches,
Hmm.
then you really don't have the ability to find it. Like, yeah, you do have the physical ability if you know
Hmm.
these other sites, but like the societal impact is the same as if you didn't. And like my concern is more if these companies like continue to exist. Like the whole reason TikTok is there's so many bills trying to ban it right now is because like China can pick what American kids see and what like is gonna be our culture in 20 years. And obviously it
Uh,
could be like a rotten culture. So like
right.
I don't think we have a control of what our culture is gonna be anymore. Like the media companies do. Because we could only all the time you see the any conflicting viewpoints get fucking banned. I think like the onus of who like downvotes that or not should just be the people, like a democratic like content system.
Like, but like you're a capitalist person, right? Like it's tough because we live in like a capitalist society. Like
Yeah.
it's for me personally, like it's tough because it doesn't change my day. It doesn't change my mom's day. It doesn't change most people's day. If it did, then we would use other resources, alternative resources to get that information and get that
Yeah,
media.
but it's so disingenuous when you hear like liberals who
Hmm.
all the time are talking about like how there are flaws to capitalism and there's certain market failures that the government needs to correct.
Hmm.
Now says that like we can't show or like other viewpoints on media because it's capitalism and the market that's just a private company. It is what it is. Like this is an example of a market failure. We're in like an ever evolving society where like certain needs are no longer met by like just market mechanics.
Hmm.
So like, yeah, sometimes we have to like make adjustments for what the hell's going on.
I've heard like if you actually if you hear like real political commentators, not just like celebrities, proper political commentators, I know like secular talk, like they argue that there should just be a public utility for all those things. So for video sharing, for search engines, for stuff like that, and it's just unfiltered. If we want to do that, I would be completely fine with that. Like all that stuff, I'm completely okay with. I have no problem with that. That's just me
Yeah.
personally. I think again, I wouldn't want to force companies. I really mean like when like if I'm being honest, like I did prefer Twitter when Kanye wasn't crazy, and like there wasn't a bunch of jackasses on Twitter saying crazy shit. And then when Elon Musk took over and let them all back in, I didn't go like, oh, like I was like, well, it's his company. Like I agree, like he can do whatever he wants with it. If he wants to ban every person named Anthony off of Twitter, like that's his prerogative. I think you can be able to do that. So
So okay,
mhm.
all right, like I'm gonna give you a crazy example.
Okay.
All media companies right now
Mhm.
have very similar viewpoints. Would you
They
agree with
do.
that?
Yeah, for sure.
If one day these
Mhm.
people who do decide our moral compass as a society right now, like that just is true, like they
To an
have
ex-
such
I think to
strong
an
hold on.
extent. I think to an extent, if I'm being
Dude,
honest.
the algorithm, like TikTok, literally is the culture. Like everything that's on TikTok in 2 months will be like what everybody's saying, what everybody's talking about. But anyway, like what I'm trying to get at
Mhm.
is if all these companies, I'm gonna give a super drastic example, wouldn't happen this way. But if they all of a sudden started just not showing any black creators at all,
Mhm.
and that's just their private company, they're allowed to do that, right? So like Why would that be okay?
C- Real quick, just make it easier or make it more interesting, because technically you can't discriminate. Like I think even that way, I think that's what would happen. But so maybe if we did it like a more vague one, like maybe I'm trying to think, like maybe you can't use any sexual terms, but that includes like LGBT people. Is that okay? That's harder to. It makes it grayer. Because
Yeah.
the if you say black people, then it'll just be a lawsuit and discrimination. That's my brain would. Anyways,
I
uh,
mean, no, like I think you can like TikTok
mhm.
shadow bans like disabled people all the
Oh,
time.
okay,
Like,
so we could do that. Yeah, if you want a shadow ban, I think
yeah,
that'd be
other people. Like that's not, yeah, exactly. They
okay
just
for sure. I think the hope would be that people would just stop using it, but that's all you could do, right? J.K. Rowling is openly against trans people, and that new Hogwarts game is crushing it. You
no,
know?
but yeah, but I guess what I'm saying too is like there's such
Mhm,
a danger when like the society is on the wrong side of history, which is like all
mhm,
the media companies in the fucking 50s would have been or like not 50s, but like the 1880s, if those were around back then, they would be
mhm.
pro-slavery and like they'd
For
keep
sure.
pushing the society that's pro-slavery.
Mhm.
And then like we could be in a scenario that we are on the wrong side of history right now. We just don't know it yet.
I think that's very possible. I do. I agree that I think if Twitter was around 30 years ago, I think that you could be able to say all kinds of homophobic slurs and there'd be no issue.
Yeah.
100%. So as of right now, it's definitely tough. I mean, usually companies and capitalism reflects we're like mirrors of each other, society and capitalism, right? Obviously, right now, what most like groups, what most companies are doing are trying to be as open as possible to as many people as possible. So they're not stepping on anybody's toes, right? They're not saying anything about trans people or anything about like people of color or people in the LGBT community in general, right? Because they're just trying to step on anyone's toes, which is
Well, they step on some toes.
they do usually conservative people.
Yeah.
But why is the interesting part? They only step on those because so like Ben Shapiro lost like a razor company at one point because he was saying anti-trans things. So the razor company had to leave him, but it's only because he said anti-trans things. So it's an interesting thing of it's funny, isn't it? Like right now capitalism is leaning towards liberals, but it's because liberals are supposed to be based in anybody is okay, right? They're supposed to like to be fair, like it's not like because I'm assuming there's a chunk of liberals that would be like straight white men, right? Companies aren't against straight white men, right? They're not doing that because that would be bad for their company, right? The only reason they're pro everybody right now is because it's beneficial for their pockets, right? So conversely, for
It's not always
conservatives,
been the case.
what happened?
It's not always been the case.
I would agree, but the points it wasn't it was again it was just match culture. That's the funny part about it, right? Like again, 30 years ago, you could make a homophobic commercial and no one would care. You could still make a bunch of money selling Doritos, right? But now that culture's okay with gay people, oh well, shit, like they have to match that now. So it's definitely interesting. It's
Yeah, but
definitely
I'm
interesting how
just
it's going.
saying, yeah, but what I'm saying is like since our culture is so dependent on these companies, they
Hmm.
could hold us back from making this like discovery that gay people are okay. Like LGBT is obviously like a natural, not a choice, like human thing.
Yeah,
They could keep that from us for decades if they really wanted to, because they have such a strong control where they couldn't do that like a long time ago.
yeah, I mean, companies for sure for a long time have done a version of that. I know they've done it with cigarettes, for example. I think it was decades before tobacco was publicly known to be dangerous.
Yeah.
Companies knew about it. Um, so I mean, it's been a history long issue with companies that companies have known things before the public has, and they've
And now
kept it
it's
from
more
us intentionally.
dangerous. More dangerous, I feel like.
What happened?
And now it's like more dangerous, I feel like.
It's definitely because it's more politicized in a weird way than it used to be. Um, so that's what makes it interesting. So again, I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it. I would hope that if Twitter, for example, were to like if we could pretty strongly realize that they were shadow banning black people or LGBT people or whatever, I would hope it would have such a negative impact on them that they'd be forced to either change or a new company would form. I mean, when Kanye was saying anti-Semitic things about Jewish people, Adidas dropped him. It took a little while, but they dropped him, right? I mean, so we'll see if that ever affects them. Uh, Usually capitalists in general tend to care more about money than bigotry. So,
Yeah, but
but
money's not always right. That's the problem.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. Again, I think a
Like Kanye
solution.
happened to be saying a dumb thing, right? But
Mhm,
like Kanye could have been saying something correct, and all the media companies who are on the same side would
mhm.
have dropped him for that reason, and then we would never have gotten to hear it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a possibility. I think. I mean, to be fair, for an example of that, I know right now there was a train wreck. There's two train wrecks that have occurred in Ohio and in Texas, and the reason they're not being publicized is because like they're really not being talked about because I know for sure Buttigieg, who's the Secretary of Transportation, and a bunch of other companies like own the trains, right? And they don't want to pay more workers to come out and do shit. So they're just completely covering up these huge stories where like towns are getting fucked with toxic waste shit, right? So literally, that is a literally case of like money controlling our information to prevent change, right? Look, that's literally what that is. How do you
Yeah.
fix it? I have no idea. I mean, in our current system, I have no idea how you would fix that. And that's like I googled it and I had a hard time finding it, but it's true. There has been a second one crash today in Houston, right? I don't know how
Yeah.
to fix that though. It's very frustrating. I don't know how to fix it.
It's like it's also like the whole like Patriot Act thing, right? Like the laws are in place, like supposedly for our safety. And like we could say like that right now they're like being used for good, but it just opens the door for like, yeah, we have a good government in the US, like that's true. But like other countries don't. Like what's to say that like we won't one day be those other countries? And then like you have these like legislative like loopholes allowing bad like government acts to like be propagated or like actually happen. So that's what it feels like. It's we're setting up something that like maybe it's good now, like these companies are good now, but it's shit can change really quick. And then when it changes, like we don't have any mechanisms to stop it fast enough.
It's late already, so I wanted to let you go.
Yeah, fucking tired. But yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, it was. It was great seeing you, bro. We talk about the other half of the stuff some other time.
See you, Pete.
See you, bro.